Hello, and welcome to Rock Your Block. We're your hosts, Cynthia Karnik and Beck, and this is GovPartners Presents. GovPartners is a full-cycle provider of management support and market research services with a particular focus on customer experience in transportation. On this week's episode, we will sit down with Pamela Olmstead, the president of the Independent Mystery Shoppers Coalition. The IMSC provides independent educational conferences across the United States to improve the skill sets of mystery shoppers, merchandisers, and auditors. But first, let's jump into some current events. This month, Apple announced that iOS 9 features there are plenty of updates coming this fall. Among the most important ones are Siri gets smarter, 40% faster and 40% more accurate, Apple Pay expands, and the Apple Maps in iOS 9 transit directions are far more important to feature. Up until now, if you want to use maps to route your way on a subway or a bus, you'll be directed to a third-party app. Now, in addition to selecting from walking or driving directions, hitting the little bus icon gives you a clear door-to-door transit directions that include walking time as well. It will even tell you which subway entrance to use depending on which direction you're going. So I think that the Google Maps or the update on Apple Maps is a good upgrade because for going on bus or transit systems, especially for our mystery shoppers, which we're going to talk about a little bit later with Pamela, that would be a great benefit to have to know where the bus is going or the transit station's going.
Absolutely. It's about time Apple caught up with Google in some of those ways, but they've also taken it a step farther and allowed that door-to-door true interaction at the entrance and exit. So it's an interesting component. The technology keeps going back and forth with it too, and only better for us as the consumer.
I agree. I mean, I'm an Apple user. I just actually got a new Apple phone. I upgraded to the 6 finally, so I'm still trying to catch up to all these upgrades with the maps, but I think I'll definitely download that the next iOS 9. So for our next current event, this is about the transportation network companies, which we've covered a lot in the past, TNCs. Last week, a former Uber and Lyft driver created an app to allow drivers to communicate with each other. This app name is named Blinker, and it allows rideshare drivers and others to communicate about road conditions, passenger opportunities, and general driving tips. The app launched its first week in June and has about 300 users so far. And a representative of Lyft said that the company does want to see the drivers connect with each other, while Uber did not immediately respond to any requests for comment. So I think this is different than all of the other driver boards and apps that have come up where they're communicating about just their whole driver experience. Mm-hmm. This is more about giving them tips while they're out on the road and the operations. And I'm not sure that Uber and Lyft really have an opinion one way or another if they can approve or deny this app to be used.
Well, I think if they want to maintain their independent contractor status or versus employee status, that they've got to kind of stay away from that piece. But it does. There's been a lot of different forums and stuff for the drivers to do and everything, but that's text and it's kind of a slower process. Well, this is a live interaction and an ongoing communications piece like everything else. It's that one next step forward to on time and on demand. So I think it helps that interaction to prepare folks and hopefully allow a better service to provide it. Uber and Lyft may benefit from the fact that their drivers are doing this in a kind of indirectly in that aspect.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm sure that they've all signed these independent contractor agreements with confidentiality clauses. So the information shared would not be anything proprietary to Uber and Lyft, and most of the drivers, I think, drive for both of them anyway. So I think it's a good thing. Okay, well, we're going to take a short station break and then return with exclusive pre-recorded Skype interview with Pamela Olmstead, the president of Independent Mystery Shoppers Coalition. Stay tuned.
GovPartners Presents a brief history of TNCs. So what is a TNC? It's a transportation network company which allows users to connect with non-commercial drivers through an online platform. Popular examples include Uber and Lyft. So what's the big deal? TNC popularity has grown substantially, which has led to a steep decline in business for the taxi industry. So what does this all mean? While continued growth is expected, many TNCs are facing problems such as lawsuits and regulatory issues, and only time will tell what the future holds for the industry.
Welcome back to GovPartners Presents on Rock Your Block. Today we have Pamela Olmstead, president of the Independent Mystery Shoppers Coalition. This support organization provides independent educational opportunities and conferences across the United States to improve the skill sets of mystery shoppers, merchandisers, auditors, and the companies and clients they support. To understand more about this topic, let's start with the basic definition of mystery shopping. Mystery shopping is a tool used externally by market research companies or internally by companies themselves to measure quality of service, regulatory compliance, or to gather specific information about products and services. Welcome, Pamela.
Hey, Jeff, it's good to be here.
Great. We're going to get started with some questions for you and learn a little bit more about both you and IMSC. What is the Independent Mystery Shoppers Coalition?
Well, in 1610, the French used coalition as the growing together of parts and fellowship. And if I was to say what we were, that would be what we are. We are the only organization that's ever tried to pull all parts of this industry together, knowing that as long as we were struggling against one another and the grass was always greener on the other side, there would never ever be a really clear understanding of mystery shopping and what the schedulers did or the editors did or the company owners did. So we wanted to create a fellowship so that we could all work together and improve our industry.
Great. So kind of a 360 approach to the industry, looking at it from all sides.
Exactly.
Very interesting. Describe your role as president of that organization and how that's kind of changed over time.
Well, when it originally started 6 years ago in 2009, my role was quite undefined because I had never held a conference, had no clue as to what I was doing. I simply wanted to provide the shoppers, the companies, the schedulers, and editors a place to come and learn from each other. So we started from scratch saying, okay, let's just go for this. My role then was just kind of keeping it all together and everybody having a good time and learning. Since that time, my role has gone from, I mentor people, I help shoppers, schedulers, editors, company owners. I actively seek companies like GovPartners, Covert Travelers, and pull them into our organization so that we all expand, we all learn, we all grow. I also do all of the hotel arrangements, do all of the schedule for the conferences. I have spoken this morning to 9 shoppers that had questions. I've spoken to 2 companies, so my day starts around 5 a.m. and I end at about 10 o'clock at night. So my role now is still trying to keep it all together and just improve the overall quality that the companies are able to give to their clients through the education. Educating the shoppers and teaching them that, schedulers and editors aren't just out to get you. They really aren't. The end result is that this client needs a great report and they need it the very first time you're scheduled that job. That's been one of my most difficult tasks. Right now, competition, and stop using that word competition, is important for me to teach others. I believe that there's enough space out there for everybody. Everybody can climb that same ladder just on different runs, and everybody can increase their profits by creating a situation where they are cooperatively competing. And so that's my role. I believe right now that's my most important role, is creating that mindset.
That's quite a role and a significant undertaking on your behalf. And I think you're right. Right now the industry is continuing to grow, and there's a big emphasis across all industries right now on customer experience as a whole, and mystery shopping plays a significant role in that component. What's the overall mission of the coalition?
The overall mission would be to, again, keeping these people together, creating a family of sorts, to where it's not just an organization that, we take your money and you go home and then we don't see you again. By creating these relationships and making it to where everybody feels accountable to each other, the mystery shopping can be looked at as a profession. And for many years, because of all the scams, the mindset is that the only people that do mystery shopping are stay-at-home moms that can't find a job. But that's totally untrue. We have doctors, lawyers, teachers, astronauts, to the public, and letting them know that this is real, this is an important job. That would be our overall mission.
Great. You mentioned earlier a big part of your role is doing the conferences and getting involved in the conferences and that planning. You recently hosted a conference in San Diego. And can you tell us a little bit about it and some of the key takeaways from that event?
Yeah, we had 163 shoppers at that conference. About 60% of them were brand new, had never heard of mystery shopping before. And so when they left, they were very excited. And the biggest thing that people take away from our conferences is that re-energize. They are re-energized. To sit in a room where there's 100, 150 people that all speak your language and know what you're talking about and go, yeah, I can relate to this. That in itself, because we live in such a sheltered world, we don't run around telling everybody we're mystery shoppers. Well, I do, but most people don't. But to be in a room where everybody understands the same language and they're willing to help you and they're sharing information and they've shared how they've learned to do this a little simpler, that I think is the biggest thing that these folks take away. And that's whether they're a company owner, scheduler, shopper, it doesn't matter, because we have no hierarchy in the IMSC. Everyone is a human being and everyone is treated the same. Every single job that's performed is just as important, because without all parts, it falls apart. You can't own a mystery shopping company and have no schedulers or no shoppers or no editors. Same thing with a shopper. You can't be a shopper and have no companies to work for. So creating the environment where they can all learn and realizing that shoppers can teach company owners, schedulers can teach shoppers, schedulers can teach company owners, editors can teach everybody. They're the most brilliant people in this industry. That cultivates professionalism. That cultivates cooperation, because they're not looking at it as the us against them. They're looking at it as we're all in this together. Our key focus is to provide great reports for these clients, so they keep coming.
Great. So kind of keeping those chains of communication going from mystery shopper to owner to client, and that full circle continuously going around. That's
absolutely
a very important piece. And so that was the most recent conference, and now you have another one coming on the horizon in the late fall, early winter. So we keeping busy.
We do. November 9th and 10th, we'll be in Las Vegas at the Flamingo. That is always our largest conference, always. People travel from across the country, Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. They come from everywhere to attend this conference. I'd like to say it's all because of the IMSC, but the truth is that it's Las Vegas, and everybody wants to come to Las Vegas. And what better opportunity than coming to a destination city of that sort and learning, and it being a business expense. It's just a win-win. So we'll have approximately 300, 400 people at that conference.
Very good. Yeah. Going to Vegas definitely doesn't hurt the aspects. I recently read your book, The Essential Guide to Mystery Shopping. Can you tell our audience about the book, why it came about, and any plans for future publications?
Well, I tell you, I started the book in 2002, and it came out by accident. I was everywhere I would go, people go, how did you get into this mystery shopping thing? This sounds like a great thing. And when I first learned about mystery shopping, I was working at the school district as a supervisor, and one of the other employees said they were going to go mystery shopping. I'm like, what's that? And that's when I learned about competition. She was like, well, I'm not going to give you, my companies that I work for and that kind of stuff. She said, I'll give you one. So I registered with one company, and they said, oh, we don't need anybody right now in your area. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be more. So during the transition of trying to find all of these companies to work for, I found over 400.
Wow.
And I found some mystery shopping forums. Volition.com was just a lifesaver for me, because there was feedback from the shoppers and I was able to communicate. There were job postings from companies. And then as I started doing it, I realized that, you know what, I'm not going to be one of those people that says I'm not going to share. I am going to share. So I started answering questions on the forums, answering questions for people that I would meet. Then I said, well, this is a lot of things. I'm saying it again and again and again and again, because it's always the same questions. And so my husband says, write a book. And I said, oh, wait, that's a good idea. So I started taking every question I was asked, everything that I was asked on the forums in person, and I started finding the answers if I didn't already know them. I worked with 3 different companies and had them help me write their part. I did every single job known to man, for 50 cents, $3, $4. It just didn't matter. I wanted to be able to provide experience, and I couldn't give them that experience if I just did one or two of the same thing. I've been chased from gas stations with brooms and threatened, so the book was designed to help somebody brand new, like I was myself, go right from the beginning, and by the end of the book, be able to actually be applying for companies, but do it without making all the mistakes that I made, because I made a lot.
Very good. I think it did a great job of that, taking it from a basic entry point and introducing the new individual to the industry and how to go about those practices. We're running short on time a little bit, but I've got one more question. We recently have seen a significant increase in what they call customer experience management or customer experience solutions and programs. What role for companies does mystery shopping play in that, and how has technology and other things evolved to make that a big difference?
The customer service experience is only going to be able to be truly identified and metrics used if you are sending a typical customer into this location, to your store, and seeing what's happening when you're not there. Undercover video shopping, I would say, is the number one piece of technology that has changed our entire game. When we do traditional mystery shopping, when the employee can say, well, no, I didn't say that, or yes, I did say that, or no, that didn't happen. When they're doing undercover video, it's there. You either did, you didn't. There is no denying it. So it takes out that question. And if used properly, mystery shopping is a tool to help train these employees so they can do a better job. Very few employees really get up in the morning, go to work, and say, I'm just going to do the worst job I can do today. I'm going to be terrible. I'm not going to listen to anybody. I'm going to be rude. They really are not doing that, I don't think, for the most part. I think that it's a lot of training that people don't always have time to do. The managers are busy. Everybody has their roles. So let the mystery shopping companies come in and let them help you train your employees. There's 1.5 million mystery shoppers at any given time in the United States alone.
That's an incredible number.
It is. So let those 1.5 million come into your business and let us help you identify those areas that really need work, and that your employees, for some reason, whatever the training materials were, they just didn't quite get it right, so that they can be perfect employees and increase your bottom line.
Thank you very much for joining us today on GovPartners Presents. Audience, please stay tuned, and we'll return shortly with more information on GovPartners Presents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Welcome back. You're watching GovPartners Presents on Rock Your Block. Our conversation with Pamela highlights the key role mystery shopping plays in overarching customer experience strategies across industries, including transportation. So right now, it's about time for some crazy news. In this segment, we will find stories from across the world related to customer experiences in transportation, ranging from the intriguing to the absurd. First up is a story about an incident with a Muslim American woman that asked for a can of soda on a United Airlines flight, but the flight attendant refused to give it to her in case she used it as a weapon. So it's hard to believe that things like this can happen nowadays. And more details on the circumstances that the passenger also looked around and saw that there was another passenger who had an open can of beer, or a closed, unopened can of beer. So she felt singled out. And when she pointed out to the flight attendant immediately took the can of beer and opened it, and said, we have a policy of no unopened cans on the plane, so I guess no diet soda for you. So this, how can this happen in this day and age, and why does it happen?
Yeah, these incidents continue to occur, and part of it may be some type of sensitivity training that may be needed in that particular component. But at the same time, I think the passenger, at least based on what I saw and read about it since then, also the other passengers kind of backed up the flight attendant in the particular case, and I think that only aggravated and added to the situation, along with an immediate social media blast of what was going on.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. United did post an apology, and so did the flight attendant, but you can't kind of take back the situation. Our next crazy news story is an example of how impatient a flight passenger can be. It happened on a Southwest plane, which had not yet taken off from Chicago. A woman stabbed her seatmate with a pen because he was snoring beside her. Of course, the woman was escorted off the plane, causing a long delay. So I don't know if I would be comfortable falling asleep on planes after this story. This is kind of frightening.
It definitely is, and these types of things keep ending up in crazy news for us. And as a snorer myself, I'm afraid now that I'm going to get that pen in the back as I'm on the next flight.
Yeah, got to be careful when you're traveling. So next up on TravelZoo, which is a global internet media company, surveyed travelers from 5 nations about their bad behavior. This dirty secret survey included more than 9,000 adults. Some of the most curious results were about peeing in the ocean or public pools where Americans, that would be you and me, lead the world with a 64% that admitted to doing so. In second place was Canada, where 58% confessed to tinkling, and then rounding out the guilty pee parties were 46% of the British, 44% of Germans, and 41% of the Chinese.
I guess that myth of dyed water in the pool must not happen here in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Americans also led the way in checking out with the hotel bathrobes, slippers, and toiletries with 69%, and then followed by 63% of the Canadians, 61% of the Chinese. And then about calling in sick to extend a vacation. Americans, once again, had the reputation as workaholics, but 24% of Americans said they played hooky an extra day by calling in sick. And then at last, we're not at the top of the leaderboard for this. 10% of Germans confessed of cheating on their partner while traveling. They were followed by 5% of the Chinese, 4% of British. So I admit that I do take toiletries when I'm traveling, but I thought that was a given. You're supposed to take those little travel size shampoos and conditioners.
Yeah, I mean, they end up tossing them away anyway. So I think that's part of the piece. But yeah. I guess some people must have quite a collection if this happens all the time.
Absolutely, yeah. So Americans, I don't know if this is the list that we want to lead, but it seems like
we're on the top of a few of them with this survey.
Exactly. And now it's time for our debrief.
We've had a lot of fun today, and the biggest thing is we need to reach out with a thank you to Pam for taking the time to tell us about the Independent Mystery Shopping Coalition and what she does with that piece, taking the mystery shoppers, the mystery shopping providers, the clients, the editors and the schedulers, and everybody else in the industry, and kind of bringing them all together. And I think that's a big, important piece of what's going on. She plays an important role in an industry that we spend a lot of time in, and it's very interesting to see where those pieces go. So all those things continue to focus back on us.
Absolutely. She has some great publications that she has written about the importance of mystery shopping. So I encourage listeners to take advantage of those as well. Our time is up. And in closing, I encourage our viewers to check in with us at Twitter @CovertTravelers and contact us via email at info2@govpartners.com. Let us know your take on topics related to air, ground, and sea transportation worldwide. Francis Bacon once said, "Travel in a younger sort is a part of education, in the elder, a part of experience." Thanks again for watching Rock Your Block and today's segment of GovPartners Presents.